There are 6 Mario and Luigi games, 2 of which got a remake. Which do you think got a remake, Jimmy?
Well, it would only make logical sense for the first 2 games in the series to get remade, especially considering Partners in Time could use it the most.
Wrong! Go to your room, Jimmy. Listen, I'm really sorry you had to see that. As an apology, allow me to rank every Mario and Luigi game. Number 6. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam suffers from the sticker starification and the new Super Mario Brosification of the Mario franchise all in one game. It's considered by many to be the black sheep of the series. It's the one game on this list that I would not call objectively great. It's sauceless, which sucks because from a pure gameplay perspective, it's in the argument for the best in the series. Alpha Dream had mastered making these games by this point. There's a fast forward button, the tutorials are optional, you start off with the hammers, and everything is just so streamlined. It just sucks because this streamlined experience is the most play it safe, boring take possible on the concept. I bet you're shaking with excitement wondering how these 2 different takes on Mario RPGs will mesh together. Will we see the partners from Paper Mario? The badge system? A Dimentio and Fawful team up? Maybe Paper Luigi will play a more prominent role after seeing a more adventurous version of himself. Wrong! This is not a crossover game. It's a Mario and Luigi game that happens to have Paper Mario characters, and they're the most watered down versions of themselves. One of my favorite YouTubers, Sugar Conroy, started playing the game recently after Brothership, and he had this to say: "I'm 2 areas deep in Paper Jam, and I cannot believe what a complete waste of a good concept it is, and how the stories/characters are sticker star levels of nothing. Yet I cannot believe how ridiculously fun it manages to be at the same time. I'm hooked regardless of its issues." He's totally correct here. Regardless of how much of a waste it is, it still manages to be so much fun. That's how good this series is, people. Even the bad game is fun. The bosses are mostly generic Mario characters, but they're so freaking good as well. The bros and trio attacks are insane. This is paired with my favorite boss theme in the series, and I do not say that lightly. This is Yoko Shinomura at her best. The goofiness that starts the track mixed with the menacing theme that plays as the song goes on is just spot on the vibe of this series. There's also a lot of toad collecting hide and seek minigames in this game, and I'm gonna make a hot take here. I like it! The music is amazing during these sections, and the little dash that the game gives you is so fun to play around with. This is a game that makes you mad how much fun it is. I'm truly convinced that Alpha Dream was instructed by Nintendo not to use any original characters, and that's why it's like this. And to that, they did a fantastic job of what they had. If you like the Mario and Luigi games, you're going to like this one. And if you like the Paper Mario games, there's a Thousand Year Door remake on Switch. Number 5. This is where this becomes so hard. In the end, Dream Team's poor pacing, including the most overbearing tutorials in the series, put it here. This was the transition game for Mario and Luigi to the 3DS, and it brought with it a controversial change in art style. Fans to this day complain that the game is less expressive than the previous 3 entries. I'm not gonna lie, at first I wasn't a fan of the art style either, but it eventually won me over hard. The 3DS games look so freaking good, and I think it only continued to get better as Alpha Dream made more of them. This game came out during the year of Luigi, and I know what you're thinking, it had to be an epic fail, right? No. It ended up being pretty good, and this one allowed us to explore Luigi's dreams. You explore the dream world with the help of Dreamy Luigi, and this gives Mario a bunch of various different power-ups and affects the environment around him. This leads to some of the most interesting gameplay in the series. Since there's no second playable character in battle, Mario's able to move around pretty freely, making it feel much more dynamic than other games. The Dream World battle theme is also my favorite regular battle theme in the entire series. Heck, I'd go as far as to say across the board, this is the best soundtrack of them all. And yes, that's a huge factor for me in these games. Whenever I'm anticipating one, I'm always anticipating how phenomenal the music's gonna be. And this game did it the best. Messing around with Luigi on the bottom screen and seeing how it affects the dream world is really silly and fun. The Luiginary attacks also go crazy. Seeing all the different Luigis and what they do with it is awesome, and it's a super cool take on bros attacks in the Dream world. The game also brings back giant battles, this time starring Dreamy Luigi instead of Bowser, and honestly, these are cool, but they don't really move the needle for me. If you notice, I didn't even mention the papercraft battles in Paper Jam because these aspects of the game don't really affect my opinion of them. I will say, giant battles are way better than the papercraft battles in my opinion. It's just much more of a spectacle. This is a little derivative of Bowser's Inside Story. It is the same thing, but honestly, for just one more game, I was cool with it. The story, while not mind-blowing, provides a perfectly entertaining narrative. It all takes place on Pillow Island, which is a unique location for the series, and that's always a win for me. The main villain, Antasma, looks super cool. Like, he's probably the coolest looking villain in the series. His battle theme is unbelievable. But in terms of character, he's not really all that memorable. You got a Dark Stone, a Dream Stone, Peach gets taken to the Dream World for a bit, you go after the stones, it's the typical spiel. I do like that he's the nightmare take on dreams. I mean, that's obviously a super cool concept for the villain in a game about dreams. Speaking as someone who's made a lot of videos on these games, Dream Team is the one that people point to as the game that really turned them off from the series. And that does make sense. All of the bad tropes are really at their worst in this game. But at the same time, all of the best tropes of the series are at their best in this game. It's the most high variance game here. Mario and Luigi Dream Team is Mario and Luigi in both the best and the worst ways. Number 4. This game is so underrated. That's right, I'm saying it. It's a shame that this is going to be considered high in this ranking. Partners in Time is one of the most creative concepts for a Mario game ever. Mario and Luigi team up with the baby versions of themselves in order to save Princess Peach from the past in an alien invasion from the Shroobs. This game gave me probably my favorite Martinet Mario voice clip of all time. Babies! It's so adorable. The characters are so expressive, and it's a journey that really feels like no other. Also, do you guys remember the suitcase from this game? If you can name his name, I will give you $1 million. Nobody will be receiving $1 million. That was said purely as hyperbole. It's Stuffwell. That's a good Nintendo trivia fact to have in your back pocket. When they say who's the suitcase from Partners in Time and you pull out Stuffwell, you're gonna look like a genius. I'll say, gotta be up there with least iconic Mario companions. Starlo just straight up took his place, and Starlo's been in every game since Bowser's Inside Story. Even though people really are mixed about Starlo, everybody knows who Starwell is. Nobody knows who freaking Stuffwell is. I love him though. He seems like a cool guy. Do I remember anything about him, even though I just replayed this game 1 year ago? No, but look at him. He's cool. Is the concept a little bit derivative of Chrono Trigger? Maybe, but I don't care. They don't own time travel. In fact, I think Nintendo should do it more. I mean, it worked out okay in Ocarina of Time. Mapping the X and Y buttons to Baby Mario and Baby Luigi was a genius next step for the series. The whole concept of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga was that each character is mapped to a button. So you add 2 more buttons, you add 2 more characters. It seems so obvious. You would think that having 4 different characters would get a little bit complicated and maybe clutter what's going on, but it really doesn't. They really designed it super well. But okay, this game is number 4 on the list and not number 1, so why is that? The actual gameplay itself is meh. I know what you're thinking, but Austin, isn't the gameplay the most important part? It's certainly an important part, but the vibes, the atmosphere, and the writing makes this series worth playing. When the babies are with Mario and Luigi, things are fine, but the game constantly separates them, making it feel more like a gimmick than a good gameplay mechanic at times. Also, the bros attacks are completely botched in this game. It's by far the worst lineup of any of the games, and they're handled really poorly since they're now items rather than special attacks. It makes it so you have a near infinite amount of bros moves at your disposal. As long as you save them properly, when it comes down to big big boss fights, you can basically use one every single turn. Speaking of things that are infinite, there are multiple infinite attacks in this game. If you master some of these bros attacks, the game becomes so easy. Even if you don't, you've got a million more at your disposal, so just try again. All of the intangibles are there. Besides that though, the narrative remains rock solid throughout the whole game, and this is as likable as these characters have ever been. It probably helps to have the babies with us to bring the likability factor up. You won't want this game to end, but when it does, the finale is epic. When Queen Shrew went into her final phase, I remember just being in awe as a kid. The music is just different from anything else in the series. And this comes in a game with what I would think is one of the weaker soundtracks too, so it really is mind-blowing. There was actually a running joke in my family that I could not beat Queen Shrew, and it literally took me over a year. I eventually gave up and restarted and returned not super underleveled, and I was able to do it, and I remember feeling so great. I had to straight up restart the game and just start over and play again so I wouldn't be as underleveled when I came back. So yeah, as easy as this game is, it certainly made childhood me struggle at the end. I think the best way to describe Mario and Luigi Partners in Time is different. Different in a good way, except for the battles. Number 3. I've made so many videos on Brothership at this point that I'm truly at a loss of what to say about it. This video marks the end of my coverage of the game, so I guess it's time to sum everything up. The game is really good. If you didn't watch my IGN review, I'll go ahead and spoil it here. I gave the game an 8 out of 10. To me, it's now one of the big 3 in the Mario and Luigi series. In my last video, I showed just how divisive the game is. I've got comments telling me I'm a hero for singing the game's praises and comments telling me I'm an idiot for defending it. But I'm gonna go as far as to say this. Similar to the Krabby Patty in SpongeBob,
the only people who don't like a Krabby Patty have never tasted one.
This isn't everyone, but I feel like most people who give the game a chance and see it through till the end up liking it. It's usually the guy who says, "Oh, I watched 2 hours of a gameplay video on YouTube and really didn't like the look of the game." It's like, okay, well, maybe play it first before you give an opinion on a game you didn't play. It's the people who get consumed by the misconceptions about the game that cannot find enjoyment in it. To bring up Chugga Conroy again, here's what he said about the game. Finished Mario and Luigi Brothership. This game, in a word, addictive. Going in, I expected this game to be just okay. Maybe better than the 3DS ones, but lacking the magic of the original trilogy because it was a new developer. I was wrong. This is the next great Mario RPG. The finale might even be the best in Mario and Luigi. I agree with everything he said there except for the finale part. I was low-key kind of underwhelmed by the battle itself, but the sequence is insane. Just a warning, I'm about to give light spoilers on the final act of Brothership. Nothing direct, but it'll give you an idea of what happens. They do the freaking infinite Tsukuyomi from Naruto. It's literally the same exact thing. Everyone gets put in their little world, isolated in these flowers, and have their perfect reality. To see something like that in a Mario game is insane, and you even get to see Mario and Luigi's version of it, which is so cool. I also watched Arlo's video on the game saying he was pleasantly surprised as well, and he expected not to like it. People go into this thing expecting not to like it and end up being pleasantly surprised. That's because of the opinions by these big publications who have been ragging on the game. People aren't making their own opinion, and if they did, they would like it. To that I say, if you like Mario and Luigi games, don't listen to people who most likely didn't even play the game. Don't listen to IGN. Heck, don't even listen to me. Play the game for yourself if you want to have an opinion on it. Get through the first 3 or 4 hours, which everyone acknowledges is slow, and you have what I believe to be a top 3 game in the series. The sales of the game have been hurt by an oversaturation of Mario RPGs. The series is also in danger of not having a developer again because Sony's about to buy the company that owns Acquire. If you love this game as much as I did, be loud about it. I hope that I've done my job in spreading the message that this game is good. It does seem like the more people who actually give it a chance and play it, the more people who are singing its praises. This game is great. IGN and other people calling it garbage are wrong, and I'll stand on that opinion until the end of time. Number 2. You've heard me gush on and on about how much I love Brothership, and even still, it can't top these next 2 games for me. Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story enter elite status for me. They are what every subsequent game tries to replicate. Superstar Saga started on the Game Boy Advance and later got a remake on the 3DS. And unlike Bowser's Inside Story, the remake is actually good. It certainly serves as a great alternative way to play the game. The biggest difference is some more generic designs and the graphical change. Honestly, I would just go with whatever art style you prefer between the two. If I had to use one word to describe this game, it would be pure. There's no bullshit in this one. It also has great villains. Cackletta and Fawful are up there for the best Mario RPG villains of all time. I'm gonna make the call now actually. Fawful specifically is the best Mario RPG villain. We also get villains like Popple and Rookie. The mystery of who Rookie really was keeping me on the edge of my seat the entire game. The comedy, spot on. The music, phenomenal. Set the tone for a series that would go on to push out 10 out of 10 soundtracks consistently. The bros attacks in this game offer something totally different than the other games. They actually involve Mario and Luigi interacting with each other to attack, which is something fans have been clamoring to get back ever since. It's back in a way in Brothership with Mario and Luigi's regular attacks. We were actually confused into thinking those were bros attacks when we first saw the trailers, if you remember. But that wasn't the case. Just like every other game since Partners in Time, the bros attacks revolved around items. Mario and Luigi also get fire and thunder attacks, which are really cool. I'm dumbfounded that this, or at least some variant, never returned in future games. It's kind of funny that Mario and Luigi are confined to just jump and hammer in most of the sequels when that wasn't even the case in the first game. If you have the full NSO subscription, you can go play this game on the Switch right now. It's a rock solid experience and one of the greatest Nintendo games of all time. Number 1. I talk about sauce in games a lot. I know it's a weird bit of language that I use, but it's something I feel is so important for all-time great games. To me, the sauce is the little something extra that brings a game from a 9 to a 10. Superstar Saga is a perfect example. It's as good as Mario RPGs get. It has everything you would ever want. But when you think about the package, it's kind of plain, like it's the perfect Mario and Luigi game. Bowser's Inside Story is a perfect Mario and Luigi game where you also get to play as freaking Bowser. This is the only Mario game that features Bowser as its protagonist, and it works so well. It wouldn't work if the Mario and Luigi gameplay was compromised because of it, but it isn't at all. Exploring the inside of Bowser's body and doing different tasks to power him up is one of the most interesting things you'll ever find in a Mario game. There are also fully 3D environments for the bros to explore, so they aren't even confined to the inside of Bowser the entire game. The game also serves as a direct sequel to Superstar Saga, and it brings back Fawful as its main villain. Partners in Time had Fawful in the sewers as an optional scene, so although it mostly stands on its own, that little detail does a nice job of tying the 3 games together. It feels like the epic finale of the original trilogy of games, and boy does it deliver in every way. Bowser feels powerful, Fawful feels threatening. The merging of the 2 gameplay styles just works. This is also where the series really found its sound when it comes to the soundtrack. It's phenomenal as usual. It really just set the vibe going forward in these games. All future games try and be a mix between Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story. People hate on the remake of this game hard. It's known as the game that killed Alpha Dream. I'll say it is a definitively worse experience. I will not argue with you on that, but it really isn't that bad. Most of the problems are by direct comparison to the original. To me, if you can get your hands on the original, play that one, but the remake's a perfectly fine way to play the game. This is the one. If you want to play Mario and Luigi, you should play Bowser's Inside Story. And you want to talk about finale. The final battle for this game is not only in the conversation for my favorite track in the series, it might legitimately be my favorite Nintendo track of all time. In the final battle against Dark Bowser and Fawful, oh my god, it fits the song. It feels like the most high stakes thing you ever do in a Nintendo game. It is just awesome. You want to know what I give this game? A 10 out of 10, and it deserves it. It's got the tight gameplay of Paper Jam, the imaginative 2D world of Dream Team, the sauce of Partners in Time, the creativeness of Brothership, and the pureness of Superstar Saga. This is the definitive Mario and Luigi experience. But with that, I think that is all I have for you today. Thank you for coming along this journey as I've talked about Brothership specifically for all of these weeks. As for what's next, I may do a video or two on the Donkey Kong Country Returns remake. I've not decided yet, but the real big thing is the Switch 2. When that thing gets announced, I'm gonna be right here talking about it. It's literally at most 3 months off, so we're not gonna have to wait long. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button. We are so close to 1,000, I can taste it. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.